The difference between claiming Social Security at 62 and waiting until 70 can be more than $500 a month. Not once, every single month for the rest of your life. For a couple, that gap can add up to well over $100,000 over a normal retirement. So here's the question I want you to sit with for a second. If the dollar difference is that big, why do so many smart, careful people still get this decision wrong? Not because they're careless, because almost everyone explains this decision the same flawed way, as a math problem. Just a break-even calculator. Plug in your numbers, find the crossover age, done. But that's not how this decision actually works. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why the break-even age approach fails so many retirees. And I'm going to walk you through the one mistake that trips up even people who've done their homework. I'm Anne, and for years I've helped people navigate exactly this kind of decision, the ones where there's no undo button. Social Security timing is one of the most permanent choices you'll make in retirement. Let's get into it. Before we go any further, if you're someone who's trying to make sense of retirement money decisions without the jargon and without the fear-mongering, do me a favor and hit like on this video right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are asking the exact same questions you are. And if you haven't already, subscribe. I put out a new video like this every day. If you know someone who's staring down this exact decision right now, a spouse, a sibling, a friend who keeps putting off their Social Security application because they're not sure what to do, share this with them. It might save them from a decision they can't take back. Okay, let's get into it. Take a breath here, because I want you to really understand what's at stake before we go further. Once you file for Social Security, that decision is essentially locked in. Yes, there are narrow windows to withdraw an application within 12 months and a lesser-known option to suspend certain benefits after full retirement age. But for almost everyone, once you claim, that's your benefit amount, adjusted only for annual cost of living increases for the rest of your life. That means if you claim at 62 and live to 95, you've locked in the reduced amount for over 30 years. If you delay to 70 and pass away at 74, you've only enjoyed the higher amount for 4 years. This is why so many people freeze up. It feels like gambling with your own lifespan. But here's the truth. This isn't a bet on how long you'll live. It's a decision about how you want to structure risk in your retirement. And once you see the actual mechanics, it becomes much clearer. So let's talk about how the math really works. Your full retirement age, or FRA, is somewhere between 66 and 67, depending on your birth year. That's the age where you receive 100% of your calculated benefit. Nothing added, nothing taken away. If you claim at 62, the earliest possible age, your benefit is permanently reduced, typically by about 30% compared to your full amount. That reduction isn't a penalty exactly, it's an actuarial adjustment. The Social Security Administration is essentially saying, if you're going to collect for more years, each individual check will be smaller so that the overall system stays balanced across everyone who claims at different ages. If you wait past your full retirement age, your benefit grows by delayed retirement credits, about 8% per year, all the way until age 70. That 8% a year is guaranteed, regardless of what the stock market does, regardless of interest rates. There's no investment available to most retirees that offers a guaranteed 8% annual return with zero market risk. That's part of why so many advisors quietly love the delay strategy for clients who can afford to wait. After 70, there's no more benefit to gain by waiting, so there's no reason to delay past that point. Some people don't realize this and simply forget to file, leaving money on the table for no reason at all. There's also a wrinkle a lot of people don't know about if they're still working. If you claim before your full retirement age and keep earning income above a certain threshold, Social Security will temporarily withhold part of your benefit, $1 for every $2 you earn above that limit. That money isn't gone forever. It gets factored back into your benefit later. But if you claim early while still working full-time, you may end up handing back a chunk of what you just started collecting, which catches a lot of early claimants completely off guard. So in simple terms, 62 gives you the smallest check for the longest time. 70 gives you the largest check for the shortest time. Full retirement age sits right in the middle. That's the version almost everyone hears, and it's not wrong, but it's incomplete. And that incompleteness is exactly where the mistake nobody explains right comes from. Here's the mistake. Most people and even some advisors treat this like an isolated math problem. Compare the monthly amounts, calculate a break-even age, and pick whichever number wins. But Social Security doesn't exist in isolation. It interacts with your taxes, your spouse's benefit, your other retirement accounts, and your withdrawal strategy. Ignore those interactions and the correct math answer can quietly become the wrong real-world answer. If you're the type of person who was planning to claim at 62 just to be safe, or the type who assumed 70 is always the smart move because you've heard it's the recommended strategy, this next part is for you. Let's look at 3 people who made very different choices and why each of them was right for their own situation. First, Carlos. Carlos is 62. He worked in construction for over 30 years, and his knees and back are telling him that story every single day. His savings are modest, around $300,000, and he's carrying some remaining mortgage debt he'd like to pay off before it becomes a burden. Carlos also has a family history that concerns him. His father passed at 71. His older brother has ongoing heart issues. Carlos isn't being pessimistic. He's being realistic about his own risk profile. For Carlos, claiming at 62 isn't a mistake. It's a deliberate choice to reduce financial pressure now, preserve his modest retirement savings from early withdrawals, and access guaranteed income while he's confident he'll be around to use it. He's not gambling. He's managing risk based on real information about his own life. He's also fully retired, so the earnings test we just talked about doesn't even apply to him. One less thing to worry about. Next, Linda. Linda is 66, right around her full retirement age, and she's a good example of the middle path people rarely talk about. She's still working part-time, doesn't love the idea of a permanently reduced check, but also doesn't want to wait the full 4 extra years to age 70. Her health is average for her age. She doesn't have a spouse depending on a survivor benefit, and her savings are comfortable but not enormous. For Linda, claiming right around full retirement age lets her collect 100% of her calculated benefit without gambling on extra years of delay she's not fully confident she wants to commit to. It's not the flashiest answer, but it's the one that matches her actual risk tolerance, not someone else's spreadsheet. And because she's at full retirement age, the earnings test no longer applies to her either, so her part-time income and her benefit can coexist without any reduction. Now let's look at Mary. Mary is 63, in excellent health, from a family where both parents lived into their 90s. She has close to $1.2 million saved between her 401k and an IRA. And she doesn't need Social Security income right now to cover her expenses. For Mary, delaying to 70 accomplishes several things at once. It locks in a permanently higher inflation-adjusted income floor for what could be a 30-plus year retirement. It also gives her flexibility. She can use those years between 63 and 70 to do strategic Roth conversions at potentially lower tax brackets before required minimum distributions and a larger Social Security check both arrive, and push her income higher. She's essentially using the years before she claims as a tax planning window that closes a little more each year she waits. For Mary, waiting isn't about optimism. It's about protecting herself against the biggest financial risk retirees actually face: outliving their money. Carlos, Linda, and Mary made 3 different decisions. All 3 were correct, because the right age was never a single number. It was a reflection of their health, their savings, their spouse's situation, and their tax picture. So how do you figure out where you fall? Here's the framework I use to walk through this decision, step by step. Question 1. What does your health and family longevity actually look like? Not what you hope, but what the honest evidence suggests. This isn't about predicting your exact lifespan. It's about being honest about your risk profile, the way Carlos was. Question 2. Do you have a spouse? And if so, what does their benefit look like? This is the piece almost every break-even calculator ignores completely. If you're the higher earner, delaying your benefit doesn't just increase your own check, it increases the survivor benefit your spouse could receive after you're gone. That single factor can outweigh your own personal break-even age entirely. I've seen couples where the numbers looked like a clear claim early case on paper, until we factored in that the surviving spouse would be relying on that higher benefit alone for another 15 or 20 years. Question 3. What does your tax picture look like in the years before you claim? If you have a gap between retirement and claiming Social Security, that gap is often your best window to draw down tax-deferred accounts or do Roth conversions at a lower rate. Because Social Security isn't in the picture yet, keeping your taxable income lower. Delay claiming, and you may open up years of valuable tax planning room you'd otherwise lose. Question 4. Do you actually need the income now? Not want, need. If claiming early means avoiding high-interest debt or preserving your investment accounts during a market downturn, that has real value, even if the lifetime math slightly favors waiting. Question 5. How does this interact with other guaranteed income you might have, like a pension? If a pension already covers your essential expenses, you may have more room to delay Social Security purely to maximize the survivor benefit or long-term inflation protection without worrying about a gap in monthly cash flow. Question 6. Are you still working? And if so, how does that interact with the earnings test we talked about earlier? Claiming before full retirement age while working full-time can mean temporarily giving back a meaningful chunk of your benefit, which changes the math more than a lot of people expect going in. Walk through those 6 questions honestly, and the right age usually becomes much clearer than any calculator alone could tell you. Let's bring this back together. Claiming at 62 gives you the smallest monthly benefit, but the longest stretch of payments. And it can make sense if your health, your finances, or your need for income points that way, like it did for Carlos. Claiming around full retirement age gives you 100% of your calculated benefit without the extra weight. And it can make sense if your risk tolerance sits right in the middle, and you're still earning some income without wanting it reduced, like it did for Linda. Waiting until 70 gives you the largest possible monthly benefit, protecting you against the risk of outliving your savings. And it can make sense if you have longevity in your corner, other income to bridge the gap, and a spouse who could benefit from a higher survivor benefit, like Mary. Here's the reassurance I want to leave you with. There is no universally wrong age to claim Social Security. There's only the wrong age for your specific situation. Your health, your spouse, your taxes, your work status, and your need for income today versus tomorrow. The real mistake isn't picking 62 or 67 or 70. The real mistake is picking any of them without walking through those 6 questions first. If this helped make sense of a decision that's been sitting on your mind, do those 3 things for me before you go. Like this video, subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's breakdown, and share it with the one person in your life who needs to hear this before they file. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.